Hi, my name's Gloria Wilder, and I'm here with Matt Pack, owner of Primal Fit Miami and author of the Impact Method. For a change, instead of him interviewing us, we'll be interviewing him. Matt, how did you stumble across these ideas?
First of all, thank you for this. I think this is really cool, Glo. I appreciate you taking the time to do this for me.
My pleasure.
I stumbled across the philosophy that I teach you guys and that we teach the group. Back in 1998, I had a devastating knee injury playing basketball, and I actually ruptured both of my patella tendons. So here I am in a wheelchair. I'm already 235 pounds.
Oh, wow.
So I was already pretty heavy at that time. I was in the best shape of my life, but I was very heavy. I probably shouldn't have been playing basketball, but I was. Needless to say, I'm in a wheelchair, both legs in full extension for at least 6 weeks. Can't expend any energy. I cannot work out. So I knew that I had to really tighten up my food and what I was consuming. Anything I was putting in my mouth, I had to really look at very closely.
Right.
So I had stumbled across intermittent fasting and a book called Eat, Stop, Eat by Brad Pilon. I've referred you to that book.
Yes, I've read that one. Thank you.
So at that particular time, being as new, it was a very new concept, intermittent fasting. It's, like I said, this is 2008. So I started doing 2 24-hour fasts. It was a great idea for me. It worked great for me to keep my calories restricted. I was able to not only prevent weight gain, but I was able to lose weight while I was in the wheelchair.
Wow, that's amazing.
Because I was down for almost a year. Matter of fact, I didn't run or do any type of cardio for about 6 months. So I was still weight training during that time, but I was in a wheelchair for 6 weeks. I had to really be disciplined.
That was great. So how long have you been practicing this? You said that in 2008.
2008 is when I started it with myself.
Right.
Now I wasn't ready, and I don't know why I wasn't ready to kind of teach it to the clients that we had at that time. At that time, I remember a mix of eating real food or just eat real food, our JERF list,
right.
Kind of a paleo approach to eating is what I was already subscribing to even back when I hurt myself. But with our own members and with my own private clients, I was pretty much teaching just eating real food. And that usually ends up putting you in a caloric deficit and has you eating less just because of the quality of food you're eating. But it was probably 2016 when I started saying, why aren't I teaching this to other people? Like, why not?
And what was the catalyst for that?
It definitely was. I think the big, when I really said, you know what, I'm going all in, it had to be when I went to Disney World. I took a trip with my daughter and my wife to Disney World, and I hadn't been there in years. And I was really shocked by being in that one area of seeing the amount of obesity. And that to me was America.
Right.
You know, and I'm in Miami, I'm in my Miami shores, I'm in my comfort zone. You see it, but you don't see it like that very often. So I was taken by that. I was shocked of the amount. I mean, because it was, the amount of wheelchairs and walkers and electric chairs and the obesity epidemic was right in front of me. Okay. In that one small area. And I swear, I remember going back to the hotel room and I remember getting in my phone and starting notes on what I was going to do when I got back. And I was like, I'm going to save Miami shores.
That's great.
And I'm going to hopefully we can branch out from there. But my whole goal was I want to simplify it. I really want to simplify weight loss and nutrition because I just think people make it way too difficult.
So I know a lot of people think that if they stop eating, their metabolism slows down, that they should eat a lot. Please explain that to them.
Yeah, look, I want to say before I even get into that there's multiple ways to get results. Because there's going to be somebody that listens to this and they're going to say, I lost weight eating 6 meals a day, right? Or I'm a bodybuilder and I eat every 2 to 3 hours. And if someone never tells me that, I say, congratulations. I think you should keep going. If that's working for you, then keep it up. I think what I want to come from this conversation and what you and I have been doing for as long as we have is that there's other options.
Right.
And this is a viable, safe, powerful, and healthy option that will not slow your metabolism down. And that is a myth, and that is something that I hear about often, especially from people that aren't educated in meal restriction or time restricted eating. Fasting, right? It's a taboo topic. That topic, that word is scary to some people, right? It's associated with starvation. It's associated with eating disorders, and it's associated with hypoglycemia and struggle and it couldn't be anything further from the truth if you do it correctly. So metabolism, I know what people say. The myth is that, if you don't eat, your metabolism is gonna slow down. You need to eat more if you're overweight. And these are things that personal trainers and people in the health field have been really saying without much of any references or any science to back it up.
Correct.
Probably since 2004, 2003. And I remember educating my clients on just that. You have to eat every 2 to 3 hours. We want to throw a log on the fire.
Right.
We don't, like, if you don't eat, your metabolism slows down, and that's why you're storing body fat. So really, you're literally telling somebody they're overweight because they don't eat enough.
That's crazy.
And if you really think about that, like that's ridiculous.
So what is the power of decreasing the meal frequency?
Well, calorie restriction primarily, but I think from a hormonal standpoint, there's a plethora of incredible things. I mean, you're controlling insulin.
Wow.
Ultimately you're controlling insulin, and you're giving your digestive system a break. Like nowhere in history, and this is where I kind of go back, where there's no argument to this, honestly. Because I don't subscribe to any particular diet or any modality as far as the nutrition is concerned, because some people associate themselves with groups and they identify with those groups, and the same thing happens in fitness too, right? With a kettlebell person or a powerlifting guy or a bodylifting girl, like everyone thinks they're doing the right thing and they'll fight for that, like almost like a religion like approach. But I just got to look at archaeology. I always have thought to myself, like, let's take it back to away from bias and confirmation bias and what works for you and you're happy and you're excited about it. That's the only thing that's ever worked for you.
Right.
But we have to look back at archaeology, because the majority of the fitness industry is educated by bodybuilders, and the food industry loves us because we tell people to eat every 2 to 3 hours.
Right.
And when you eat every 2 to 3 hours, you grocery shop more, and there's meal prepping. And then the pharmaceutical industry loves us too, because the more you eat, especially if you're eating the wrong foods, the more likely you're going to be in the doctor's office sick. So they're happy with people eating breakfast and a snack for mid-morning and lunch and a mid-afternoon snack and dinner. Eat as much as possible. So there's so much misconception with meal frequency. And that one is that you're going to decrease metabolism. But like I said, go back to cavemen, go back 2 million years ago. We are more adapted to famine than we are feast.
Right.
There was never a time in history where we ate every 2 to 3 hours. We're lucky if we eat once a week.
Right.
So the fact that people are saying that our metabolism will slow down if we don't eat just has no merit, and there's no science behind it whatsoever. And I always challenge people, like, hey, if you can find me some science that backs that up, I'd be happy to read it, but it doesn't exist. So I would say the opposite happens. I would go out on a limb and say the opposite happens when you don't eat. Your metabolism speeds up.
Wow.
Because there's hormones. There's norepinephrine and there's testosterone and growth hormone and adrenaline and these fight or flight hormones that increase when you don't eat. Because why, if you're starving, would you ever walk around exhausted, tired, and lethargic? Like
Right.
your brain is looking for food.
Right.
Like if you're in
right.
a fight or flight type of situation, like, and you're not eating, you are on lookout for food. You're
hunting. I need to get some food. Right.
You're in
right.
a hunting mindset. So your metabolism is higher. So that myth it needs to be debunked. And there's a ton of other myths that we can debunk today too.
And I think
when it
slowly
comes to
we're getting
fasting.
there.
Yeah, we're getting there.
So why do you think we have an obesity epidemic right now? I mean, do you think it's the food? Do you think it's the frequency of eating?
Yeah, I think that is I don't know if we have enough time for that, but I think if you really look at the food industry and the business of food and the big business of agriculture, and if you look at
the food pyramid,
the food pyramid too. But even if you go back as far as the Industrial Revolution, right? When we were going to war, processed food came into production, right? And you have agriculture that's fairly new. Agriculture is only 10,000 years. It's very new into the human diet, right? So grains and corn and wheat and soy, GMO foods, these things are cheap and they can be produced at a high rate, and their return on investment is just incredible. And they're processed and they're in boxes, and the shelf life lasts for a long time.
And they're addictive.
And they can be very addictive, right? And then food colorings and food additives, and like you said, they formulate some of these products so you can't just have one chip, right? Like they from the sodas, the sugar, the artificial sweeteners, all these things are put in there for one thing only, and it's for profit. And so you'll continue to buy that food. And so I think really it comes down to profit when and I don't mean to sound like a conspiracy theorist when I say this. It's a business.
Right.
And if people could understand that, and I don't think it has anything other to do with that. It's not like, I'm going to get them addicted to this. It's, I want them to buy this product over and over and over again.
Right.
And these foods play havoc on our blood sugar.
Right.
And you're never truly satisfied when you have something with wheat, grains, corn, soy, these grains that are at the base of our food pyramid. And we're told to eat this 9 to 11 servings a day. And we're told to move away from animal foods, that something has nourished us for 2.4 million years.
Right.
So it's one of those things, like, I look at it as in, like, all right, what will prevent me from eating on a regular basis? Like, because satiety is, as I teach you guys, is everything when it comes to meal restriction and taking in less calories. If you're always hungry, you're less likely to make good decisions. And you're most likely going to reach for that processed food or that convenience food at work, or the handful of nuts or the pretzels or the muffins, you're going to need the mid-morning, mid-afternoon snack. So I really believe the obesity epidemic comes down to food quality. And I think it has to come down to not eating foods that our body's designed to eat.
Is that why you think most people struggle to keep the weight off once they've gotten there?
I absolutely do. I truly believe there's a carbohydrate addiction. I think the majority of the obesity, I mean, look, no one overeats protein and fat.
Well, that's true, yeah.
Like, I mean, I just really look at that. Like, the people that are overeating, they're not overeating on animal foods, and we're being told not to eat animal foods. So it's
That's
like,
right.
How is that? This doesn't make common sense to me. If you really research obesity and the foods that are directly associated with making people overweight, you're not going to find fat and protein or animal foods. You're going to find boxed foods, convenience foods, processed foods, and ingredients list, a large ingredients list. A long shelf life, high sugar content, high carbohydrate type of content, and low protein, low fat content. So to me, you just have to look at common sense and say, wow, I don't think this is working for the obesity epidemic. Maybe we should try something different. Right,
since there's so many. I read today that about 3/4 of Americans are overweight and obese, which that's amazing. That's just too many. I mean, I remember in the 50s when I was growing up, you would see an overweight person 1 out of 30 people, and now it's like 28 out of 30 are overweight. So I have one last question. Actually I have 2 more questions. The Impact Method Coaching Academy that you're doing, tell us about it, because I've been in it and it's worked wonders for me, and I want everybody else to learn about it.
Yeah. Well, when we started doing this, and you were with the first group we ever did, I think it was in 2017. When I got back from Disney World, I was like, because I always look at, I always say success leaves clues. So I always, instead of like reinventing the wheel, I want to find out who's already been successful at something like this.
Right.
So if you look at Weight Watchers, like there's going to be complaints about Weight Watchers. There's people that have failed in Weight Watchers. There's people that have failed in every diet or every type of support group. But I think Weight Watchers has done a really good job. They've done something right. And I think I came into this thinking like, I can't do it by myself. Matt Pack can't do this alone. Like, to create that camaraderie and that a positive, nurturing, empathetic group that can help me nurture. It can't be just me inspiring. It has to be the people that are inside of it, like you, that inspires the others to show them what's possible. So the group it just kind of blew up. It started slow, but as every group, new group, 30-day group that we started, it just started to grow, and we're upwards of 700 members in there now. And I think it's just been such an incredible, positive environment for people to thrive in.
I enjoy the support. I enjoy, like you said, the camaraderie. Everybody's supporting you. Everybody's making sure you win and you do your best. And even when you're not doing well, there's still support. There's no hate. And I think that group helps so much in your help to, continue the fasting or the time restricted and following your health path.
Yeah.
This is a personal question because I've been able to help a few people, and when I've seen that their blood sugars go down and they get off their diabetes medicine, I feel like this personal growth and this personal happiness within. And you've been able to help hundreds of people, and I just wanted to know, how do you feel? I mean, I know it's one of those stupid questions, but it has to be just profound feeling inside.
Yeah. Well, so I always talk about this too, because there's a book called the 5 Love Languages, and I read it for my relationship with my wife a while back. It's a really cool book, and it talks about love tanks, and it talks about what your love language is. And I took a test, and my love language is words of affirmation. And if you know anything about my mom is a school teacher. My mom is an educator. My dad and I always did Special Olympics. I've been in helping people and reading to kids, and I've always, so I think it's a tribute to my mom and my dad that I just love helping people. But my love tank that I feel that my wife knows is a words of affirmation love tank. Like, it's not so selfishly, like, I love to help people because I get such a reward from it. And it fills my love tank. Like when someone says, Matt, I'm off of thyroid medication, or Matt, I'm off of metformin, or Matt, I'm off of blood pressure medication, or I've lost 50 pounds. Like, these are things that I am going to strive to help as many people as possible because there's such a reward from it. And being 22 years in the personal training field, like, this is the perfect field for me. Like, right. To be on this journey with someone, to take them from point A to point B, it's a dream come true for me, because I get rewarded not only because it fills my love tank, but monetarily I get to pay my bills, and I get to go to work wearing t-shirts and shorts and help people. And what better way to make a living?
Well, on a personal note, I've been with Matt like 9 years. I've lost at this point 90 pounds.
Yeah.
Because I was 225, now I'm 135, and you've hung in with me in my ups and downs, and you've always believed in me, knowing that I would get there. And I think without you, I know I've said that to you many times.
Yeah.
I owe my health to you, and I owe a lot to you.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're very welcome. Yeah, and you've helped me. That's the cool thing about this whole thing, is because now you're giving back too. You're passing it down to other people in the group, and they're looking at you like, oh my God, Glow did it, so they know they can do it too.
And they're doing it. They're doing it. They're, you have people who lose 30 pounds in 6 weeks, and it's not even the 30 pounds, they lose the inches, their self-esteem goes, and it's just
the body language.
The body language.
And you too. I mean, the confidence that you're exuding now, and you're putting on clothes, and you're feeling sexy. You got your sexy back.
I got my health back.
Yeah.
I'm down 2 pills, 2 medications, and who knows? Maybe I'll be off everything soon.
Yeah.
So thank you, Matt.
Yeah, it's life changing.
It is
and
life-changing.
And that's what I want to tell people is like you just said it. Like we had a journey, right? It took a couple years for us to figure it out
did.
with you, right? But there's so much positive things that can take place in just 30 days. And that's why we call our program the Jumpstart program, right? Because it's not like we're done in 30 days. But I want people to know that you can literally change your life.
Make a big change
in 30 days.
Absolutely.
Now, and you know, we still have work to do.
Right.
But it's just some people are so in the hole and they don't know what to do. And I feel like what we've done, and I mean us, you and me and the group, is we're showing people that it doesn't have to be as hard as they make it.
Right.
And that's kind of my goal, is to simplify weight loss and nutrition and show people how easy it can be.
And you have, because you've altered the scheduling so it's not so difficult. And it's just, even if it's one step at a time, it's going in the right direction.
Yep. And then you add in like the movement, right? And that's the cool thing is people put way too much emphasis on exercise, right? And that's why our first 30 days, I take people away from exercise, and because I want them to show the power of nutrition.
So now you mentioned movement, and I remembered last week you came up with this idea, the movement to meal ratio.
Oh, yeah.
Can you explain that a little?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's in the beginning stages. It's one of those 3:30 a.m. ideas I had.
I know.
But I think there's something to it. So what I always try to get people to do is like, hey, let's replace snacking for movement. You know, so instead of snacking on food all day long, I want people to snack on movement. Like
an exercise snack.
Seek it out. Yeah, seek out opportunities to move. And I feel like during times where normally you would have a mid-morning snack, go for a walk.
That's a great idea.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So if in fact you're on our program at home, if you're on our program, and let's just say you're eating 2 meals a day, right? Because that's a great meal plan right there.
Absolutely.
For sustainability, right? You may not start there, but you may end up there. That may be what works best for your lifestyle. Because we modify and we customize for everybody depending on their needs. But let's just say you're eating 2 meals a day at lunch and dinner. That's a 16-hour fast every day. So what I'd like to see you do is at least 4 movements. So it's a 1 to 2 movement to meal ratio. So if you're eating 2 times a day, I'd like you to double that in the amount of times that you move.
And what would be considered a movement?
So it could be a weight training session, right? Now an hour is just one move,
right?
It doesn't count for 6, right? But I would say at least 10 minutes. A move should be at least 10 minutes. So
stretching,
it might be
walking.
It might be mobility. It might be your workout in the morning is 1. That's 1. And then you're going to have your meal for lunch. That's number 2. And I like people to go for walks. I'm really pushing for walking after meals lately. It's a great way to get better digestion. You feel great, stress management. So movement number 2 is right after lunch. And then say mid-afternoon, you start to get hungry, or you start to crave a snack, maybe you go for another walk. There's movement number 3. And then you eat dinner, your second meal of the day, and then you go for another walk or a bike ride or something for your movement number 4 right after dinner. So
even if it's leisure, it's something to get you moving.
Leisure.
Yeah.
Most people don't realize the time they have. And it could be mobility at your desk, mobility and some stretching at your desk. Or it could be a walk after dinner or a workout before work. But the idea here is to seek out opportunities to move. And I really believe if you can get that ratio, the meal to movement ratio, where you're doubling movements to the meals, it all adds up. Those calories that you're taking in don't stand a chance with the amount that you're moving. And the other way around, like let's just put it in a different math, all right? It's change up the math, change up the sequence completely. Let's say you're eating 6 meals a day. Okay? Times 7 days. That's 42 meals. Like even if you're working out 7 days a week for 1 hour, that's 4% movement.
Can't catch up, yeah.
It can't catch up. It's very, very difficult for somebody that sits at a desk all day to make a significant dent in those amount of meals, even with 7 days of exercise.
And even if they're small meals, it's a lot.
Even if they're small meals.
Right.
Factor in the insulin spikes that you're getting throughout the day because of all the snacking. Factor in stress and understand that inflammation and excessive roller coaster rides of the insulin is more stress on the body. It just doesn't make any sense. So why not just restrict meals? Right. Instead of counting calories, which is a great way and it works too. But why not count meals instead as another option? So instead of doing 2,000 calories per day, why not go 2 to 3 meals per day or 14 to 21 meals per week? And I can tell you that, hey, 21 meals per week. And it's just easier for the general population. It's easier for somebody that sits at a desk all day to know, hey, you got 2 meals today. How are you going to use them?
Right.
Right? You have 14 meals for the week. 14 meals for the week. And,
you enjoy your meals better, and you appreciate them, and you pick quality foods that make you satisfied. And
you save money, and you're not slave to food all the time. You're not constantly thinking about food all the time. And that's one of the things that I think, when it comes to eating disorders, like I always tell people, like I'm trying to get people to decrease meals, and somebody will accuse me of creating a food addiction or an anorexia or
right.
Some sort of a disorder. The way I look at it, eating every hour or every 2 hours, that's an eating disorder.
That's true. That's true. And people that I know that eat like that, they're always thinking about food. Like they're having breakfast and they're already thinking about lunch. And I mean, I have lunch. I usually only tend to eat 1 meal a day, and I'm fine. I went to bed last night thinking to myself, wow, I'm still full.
Yep. And that's what we're looking for, satiety.
Right.
Because the more satiated you are, the more satisfied you are, the less likely you're going to need to reach for something 2 hours from now.
Right.
We want to increase the amount of time in between meals. So that way you're in a calorie deficit. You're constantly on that roller coaster ride that all Americans are on.
Right.
The breakfast, drop. Snack, drop. Lunch, drop. Mid-afternoon, drop. Dinner, drop. I mean, this is a common roller coaster.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it just wreaks havoc on the digestion. It wreaks havoc on insulin. It ages you. You spend a ton of money. So we can knock out so many birds with one stone when we restrict meals.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, and same thing. You don't have to work out all the time. You spend more time with your family. Spend more time out of the kitchen, right?
That's right.
And save money.
Grocery store, no more grocery store.
And buy new clothes.
Yes.
Right?
Matt owes me a lot of money for all the new clothes I've had to buy.
Exactly. But it's a healthy option that I wish more people would talk about, because I really think we're not helping the obesity epidemic by telling people to eat more and to snack more and to eat more grains and to eat more foods off the base of the food pyramid. Like, it comes a time where we have to look at common sense. Like, is what we're telling people working? And
take control for our own health.
Right. I mean, and you're right. I think there comes a time where the consumer needs to look at the doctors and look at the media and look at the FDA food pyramid and say, hey, I've been doing what you've been telling me for a long time.
And I just keep gaining weight. I don't understand what's going on.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, I'm hoping that the results that we get and the group gets, it spreads. And we can help more people.
And it is.
Because people are struggling.
Yeah, people are, getting the word, and they, the group is growing. So I think it's a great movement. And I think little by little, you'll have Miami Shores under your belt.
It's a viable, sustainable option for human beings, right? I love when people say, oh, I don't know if I can do that. Like, oh, really?
Are you not human?
You're not human. Right? So I think it's possible for anyone to acclimate to this type of lifestyle, and I think it's powerful, and I think it's going to help a lot of people.
Well, thank you very much, Matt. I appreciate it.
Thank you for interviewing me, Glo.
My
Appreciate
pleasure.
you.
Thank you, everybody. Hope you enjoyed it.